Well, well, would you look at that? Our little boat boy is playing pretend again, acting like he actually belongs at Crescent Bay Marina, right up here with the real owners. You ever hear a voice so sharp it could slice bread? That's what cut through the morning fog that day, loud enough to send every seagull for miles shooting up into the sky. Yeah, that's how this all started. Let me back up a sec. So there's Vivian Blackwater, Queen Bee of Crescent Bay, standing tall on the observation deck of the Marina's command tower. Her suit. This blinding shade of fuchsia pink, totally clashing with all that shiny glass and steel around her. She's got this finger manicured within an inch of its life, jabbing at this guy on Dock 23. Garrett Thornfield. He's not even looking up, just quietly looping rope on his old fishing boat, Second Chance, as if this was the most normal Saturday in the world. But trust me, nothing about what happened next was normal, not by a long shot. Now, Vivian wasn't alone. She'd brought an entourage, 3 harbor patrol guys, all in crisp uniforms, hands casually near their belts like they've done this. Look intimidating for the boss routine 100 times before. The morning sun's bouncing off their fresh badges, and the whole scene's got that smell of a setup, except Garrett. He doesn't flinch. 52 years old, every bit the old salt, his hands moving with the kind of careful confidence you get from spending decades at sea where screwing up means you don't come home. There's a quiet about him, one of those guys you'd never notice in a crowd, but you feel it if he fixes you with a look. Finally, he glances up. Gray eyes, unreadable, and Vivian up there like she's starring in her own little soap opera. Doesn't even catch the way he squares his shoulders like he's getting ready for something. To her, he's just some underqualified boat boy who lucked into the wrong dock. You know, the type thinks she owns the world just because she can see it all from 40 feet up. Now, Crescent Bay Marina, it's a place that looks like it got lost on its way to the cover of a yacht magazine, 6 wooden piers fanning out from the central hub, luxury boats gleaming. The kind of money tied up here would fund a small town. The central tower rises above it all, a 3-story fortress of tinted glass, home to what looks like the most overqualified marina management operation you've ever seen. But here's the thing about places like this, they're complicated. Layers and layers of rules, local, state, federal, enough red tape to wrap the whole marina twice over. And Vivian, she's been HOA president for 11 years running seaside estates, like her personal kingdom, convinced confusion equals control and control equals cash. She's convinced the residents, the people paying through the nose for their slice of paradise, that this marina is basically their own private playground. Spoiler, it's not. Garrett finishes tying off his boat standing up slow, never hurried even with a hostile audience above. He's dressed for work, not for show, faded jeans, old gray pullover, you know the type. And his boat. Well, it's no $1 million yacht, but it's his, and it looks like it's seen more honest work than anything in the prime slips up front. He calls up, voice, steady, Mrs. Blackwater. Beautiful morning for a ride, though. Your friends look a little overdressed for sailing. Vivian's smile could freeze fire. She picks up a tablet, flashes it for her goons to see. Mr. Thornfield, I've been reviewing our marina compliance files, and I'm afraid there are some serious irregularities with your vessel's registration and slip fees. She lets the official words hang out there thick as fog. All around, other boat owners pause some pull-out phones, maybe to record the drama, maybe to call for help, or maybe just because everyone loves a good train wreck. She keeps going, voice raised, for maximum drama. Slip 23 hasn't had proper HOA authorization for over 6 months. There are also questions about environmental compliance, safety inspections, and she checks her tablet insurance verification. At this, one of her muscle, Captain Rex Ironwood, big guy, looks like he's never been told, no steps forward, barking, "Sir, you'll need to move your vessel while we conduct a full compliance review. This could take days." Garrett just slides his hands in his pockets, all calm. "That's interesting, Captain. Could I see your inspection authorization? Marina compliance falls under federal maritime jurisdiction. I like to make sure everyone's credentials are in order." There's a pause, a challenge, and for the first time, Rex looks a little unsure. He glances at Vivian, who shifts her weight, still smiling, but a bit more like she's standing on shifting sand now. Mr. Thornfield, she calls down the Seaside Estates HOA has managed marina operations for over a decade. We have comprehensive authority over all vessels. We're just ensuring rules are followed for safety and property values. Behind her, her security chief whispers into his radio. Another guy fidgets, clearly wishing he was somewhere else. Garrett leans against the rail, looking up at the glass and steel tower, and asks Mrs. Blackwater, before we go further, what's on the third floor of that tower you're standing on? She hesitates a beat. Marina management offices, communication equipment, navigation aids, standard harbor operations. But now folks on the docks can feel it. Something's shifted. Garrett pulls out his phone. That's interesting. According to federal maritime records, that third floor houses specialized equipment stuff requiring security clearance. In fact, this whole marina operates under a federal harbor facility security plan. You have a copy of that. Mrs. Blackwater maritime law says it's supposed to be available for inspection. Rex tries to get back on offense. Sir, you're interfering with an official inspection. We'll need you to comply or we'll take additional measures. The crowd starts to back off, sensing this is getting serious, but Garrett just repeats, almost amused, additional measures. Captain Ironwood, what might those be? Because maritime law is pretty clear about who has enforcement authority in federal waters. Before Rex can answer, Garrett's phone rings. He picks up, listens. Thornfield here, short clip conversation. But when he hangs up, his whole vibe is different, calm, but with the kind of certainty that makes other people nervous. Mrs. Blackwater, seems there's confusion about authority here. Your team may be operating under some misunderstandings about who actually has oversight for this marina. Vivian tightens her grip on the tablet. The HOA has documented authority contracts, agreements, legal precedent for over 10 years. That's interesting, Garrett says, voice carrying a new edge. He reaches into his cabin and pulls out a folder. Because federal records say, this marina's been under continuous Coast Guard jurisdiction since 1947. That makes it a federal facility. HOA authority doesn't exist. You could hear the water lapping the seagulls crying. But up on that glass tower, Vivian goes pale. Rex's hand moves away from his radio to something more serious, and the youngest guy looks like he's about to bolt. Garrett holds up a document, federal letterhead stamped all to hell. This is a federal harbor facility designation. Any attempt to interfere or impersonate federal authority, that's a federal crime. 10 years minimum. Now you'd think that would end it, but Vivian, still clinging to her throne, snaps back. You can waive all the papers you want, but we've invested millions here. Contracts, financial obligations, commitments that don't just vanish because of some bureaucratic technicality. And something changes in Garrett. Now he looks like a guy deciding exactly how much trouble he'll tolerate. Mrs. Blackwater, let me explain something about community investment and federal jurisdiction. This marina built to Coast Guard standards, every wire, every bolt. That tower you're standing in, built to house federal navigation and comms. The deck you're making threats from, that's a federal monitoring station. That last bit hits like a gut punch. Garrett's not done. And Mrs. Blackwater, that federal station, has been tracking every transmission, every call, every email for the last 6 months. Vivian's color drains completely. Her tablet slips and clatters to the deck, echoing over the water. Which means every arrangement, every business partner, every little plan recorded, analyzed by the feds. That's when Rex cracks. He radios for evacuation. Bolton bolts for the elevator. The youngest guy's already halfway to the parking lot, and Vivian's stuck frozen pink suit bright against the steel and glass. She's finally realizing that Boat Boy is something else entirely. And just then, 3 black SUVs pull up. Government plates. A helicopter appears in the distance. The crowd's murmuring this started as HOA drama. Now it's starting to look like something out of a movie. Who are you? Vivian whispers, gripping the rail. Garrett just looks up, almost pitying her. Someone who's been watching your operation a lot longer than you've been watching me. And Mrs. Blackwater, accidents around water, sometimes they're not accidents. Sun's climbing mist, burning off, and now you can see everything. What looked like a petty power struggle is unraveling into something much, much bigger. Turns out, 3 hours earlier in some federal conference room, agents were reviewing evidence of systematic corruption, smuggling, and a murder made to look like an accident. The boat boy, retired Coast Guard admiral undercover for months, wrapping up the final phase. Sterling Farweather, former HOA treasurer, is watching from his sedan phone, buzzing with messages from Agent Morrison, calling him in for a critical debriefing. His briefcase is packed with months of recordings, but the scale of this is way beyond HOA-level embezzlement. He's been gathering evidence to expose Vivian's financial crimes, but it turns out the real story is federal. Meanwhile, old Sage Weatherby on Dock 4, a Vietnam vet, sees the writing on the wall. He remembers weird activity months back, unmarked boats unloading gear late at night. He mentioned it to Vivian, and her weirdly eager reaction suddenly makes a lot more sense. Watching now as feds swarm the place, Sage realizes his little tip-off might have gone straight to the wrong person. And on it goes. Vivian's phone rings. Her husband, Marcus, runs a maritime security company, now frantic, warning her to get out. They know about the shipments, the modifications, everything. Her people try to escape, but the whole place is locked down. Garrett tells Vivian to stay put for her own safety, he says, which somehow sounds more threatening than an arrest. Helicopter lands, tactical team spreads out, not to arrest, but to secure the area, watching water approaches. The level of response, military, not just law enforcement, shows this isn't about HOA politics anymore. This is national security stuff. Then Harbor Master Kane Westbrook shows up, hands shaking. He's been blackmailed into cooperating with Vivian, but now realizes the feds have had his number the whole time. He gets on the Coast Guard emergency channel and spills at criminal activity, international violations, possible terrorism. That radio call is a death sentence for Vivian's empire. Now boats start appearing on the horizon, moving in coordinated formation, 6 of them. Garrett, who's now dropped the act, gets on his secure channel Coast Guard ops. This is Admiral Thornfield. Visual confirmation of 6 vessels, recommend immediate interception for suspected international smuggling. Back at the command center, Agent Morrison briefs Sterling. Your recordings, your evidence, they documented a front for international smuggling. The man you know as Garrett Thornfield. That's Admiral Thornfield, undercover for 8 months investigating the murder of his predecessor, also a federal agent. The scope of it, staggering. Terrorism-related activities, millions in illegal cargo, a web of corruption using HOA authority as cover. On the Marina, the smuggling boats try to turn for international waters, but the Coast Guard's already in place. Vivian gets word that the toxicology report on the last admiral matches the poison in her office's coffee pot. So much for accidents. Her husband's records tie him directly to international criminal organizations. Every call, every email, every board meeting recorded, and now evidence. Arrests are swift. Vivian Rex Bolton. Marcus all taken down. Vivian's reign, 11 years of intimidation and manipulation, ends right there. Her pink suit, now evidence in a federal case. 37 people convicted in what federal prosecutors call the biggest maritime smuggling case in regional history. 6 months later, Crescent Bay Marina is back to its real purpose, federally supervised, safe, honest. Admiral Thornfield's the open authority now. Sterling, the reformed treasurer, operates with transparency and sage. He's still got his boat at Slip 37, but these days his late-night observations go straight to the right people. And Vivian, 18 years in federal prison. Her story, a warning in textbooks about what happens when you mistake local power for real authority. So here's the kicker. What do you think? Was justice served? Or does this all just prove how easy it is for the powerful to hide their crimes until someone smarter stands up? Drop a comment. Share your own run-ins with small-town tyrants or big-time crooks. Hit Like if you believe real law enforcement still matters, and subscribe for more wild stories. Because at the end of the day, what happened at Crescent Bay proves that authority is earned, not taken, not faked, and definitely not bought. And sometimes the quietest guy on the dock is the one who sees everything.